Hey everyone, Thornton here, and you might have noticed that recently remakes and remasters of classic games has become much more popular, and in 2024 we are going to see more of these than probably ever before, with some of my favorite titles actually being remastered. So we're going to go over some of the best ones you can be expecting this year when they're coming out, and also why is this becoming so much more popular. But without further ado, let's jump into today's topic. The trend of remastering and remaking video games has become insanely popular, especially as publishers realize that they can feed off the nostalgia of older players and consumers and repackage a product that's already been created to make a little bit more money. Although sometimes there are more nuanced reasons and ones that are better for the consumer, such as technological upgrades. And today we're going to go over the 4 main reasons why things are remade and the games that are going to be remastered this year because of those reasons. And the first reason is going to be nostalgia, and many gamers, myself included, have strong emotional connections to the classic titles we grew up playing. I mean, we all remember playing with our brothers or sisters, or even just spending 12 hours all night playing a story-driven game. And when you go ahead and remaster these games, it gives us a chance to relive those memories and see the game in a more updated and better fashion. One of those examples, which is going to be Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, which is slated for a 2024 release. This is a remake of the Metal Gear Solid 3, which will have much updated graphics, enhanced audio, and a faithful recreation of the iconic stealth and jungle warfare gameplay, which is great for a lot of players that grew up playing this game. Another one that's also very similar, that's banking on the nostalgia factor but in a different genre, is going to be Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, which is also slated for a 2024 release. And this is going to be 20 years after it was first released on the GameCube, and it's going to be making a comeback on the Switch. It'll be interesting to see if it actually comes out on the Switch 2 as well, which is slated for a release at the end of the year. And this new version will enhance the timeless design with sharper graphics and make the adorable cardboard characters stand out a little bit more than we ever saw back on the GameCube. The only question though is, will it live up to the memories that we had when we originally played it, which is often the problem with nostalgia. We look at things with rose-tinted glasses, and when we play a remaster, something just doesn't feel like it's truly there. But another reason to remaster games is the technological advancement, because as games have continued to evolve with better graphics, more gameplay mechanics, and so much more, developers have been able to significantly improve a lot of different facets of the game, and remasters take advantage of technology that wasn't available when the game originally came out. One of those examples would be Tomb Raider, which is getting a remaster of 1, 2, and 3, which is releasing on February 14th. It's basically a bundle of the first 3 Tomb Raider games with modernized gameplay, including all the expansions and secret levels, and a photo mode for that added nostalgia which we just went over. This is fantastic. This was a revolutionary game when they came out in the 90s, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see how people and the fans respond to a remastered version of something that's actually one of the most iconic video game characters of all time. But speaking of something else that was very iconic that is also getting a remaster, is Star Wars Dark Forces, which is going to be releasing on February 28th, and it's a remaster of the classic first-person shooter with upgraded graphics, enhanced gameplay. And what's interesting is, at the time, this was kind of like a Doom clone, but set with a Star Wars background. So it'll be interesting to see how something that is this old gets remade and how much they are actually able to modernize it, while also making it a little bit different, I would imagine, than just a typical Doom clone that it originally was intended to be. But outside of just the advancements with technology, there's also something called the market demand, and this is what the publishers mostly bank on, because there is a significant demand among both existing fans and newer generations that never got to try these games in the beginning. Developers and publishers do recognize the potential profitability of tapping into an established fan base, while also bringing in those people that have heard about these titles but never got a chance to play. And something that we can be looking forward to is Persona 3 Reloaded. As Persona 4 did get a whole new fan base on, it makes sense that they're going to go back to Persona 3, which is going to be releasing on February 2nd in just a few days. Completely remade in the Unreal Engine 5, however, it's going to feature updated visuals, refined gameplay mechanics, and additional content, which will satiate a lot of the Persona fans that grew up playing the franchise, but also entice a lot of people that play Persona 4. Along with that, Final Fantasy is also getting the Rebirth remaster, which is coming on February 29th, and this is one of the most iconic ones with Cloud, Barret, and so many more. This is the next chapter in the Final Fantasy remake trilogy, and it's going to promise significant deviations from the source material, and we've gotten so many Final Fantasies throughout the years that it's kind of nice that the people who've only played the recent iterations will be able to go back and play probably one of the most iconic Final Fantasies of all time. But sometimes, in the last thing that kind of happens with these remakes, is it's a way to revitalize franchises. It offers developers an opportunity to breathe new life into a dormant or underappreciated franchises, because you can visit those classic titles that had such hype behind them and update them for modern audiences. And the #1 game that I am most looking forward to that is a franchise revitalization is going to be Star Wars Knights of of the Old Republic, which probably is my favorite game of all time. Now, I get it, Star Wars doesn't need a franchise revitalization in the same way a lot of other franchises do, but it has been on a downward trend, and if there was one game that was going to bring people back in, I actually think it would be this. It's one of the best RPGs of all time, made by old school BioWare before EA got their hands on it. The only question is, when will this release? Because there's been a lot of talk that it's been canceled, but that it's still going on. And the other one is actually going to be accessibility. And the other game is actually going to be Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, which is also going to be remade this year, but we just don't have an ETA on the release. And this makes sense because there is a new Prince of Persia platformer game coming out, so they're going to go ahead and remake one of the older ones, and Ubisoft basically wants this to be a stronger franchise going forward. There have been a lot of development challenges going on with this, so hopefully they go ahead and nail it, because Prince of Persia is one of the most iconic platformers of the late 90s, early 2000s. And the actually very last game I want to go over, and this is more of an accessibility issue for remakes and remasters, is because some games are so old that it's kind of hard to get them to run on modern systems, or you just can't find them on modern systems if you're on a console. And so sometimes when you can remake them, it gives players a chance to play something that they never would have actually been able to, due to the way that, you know, old stuff kind of just doesn't run on new stuff. And something I'm excited to see is actually Rivian, which is a comeback to the popular sequel to Myst, which if you grew up in the 90s, you probably had a CD-ROM that had this laying around. And it's going to come with updated visuals and improvements, and hopefully it is able to capture the essence of the original while enhancing the experience for modern players. Let me know down below, do you like the idea of games being remastered, or do you think that they should stay in the original state as we remembered them when we originally played them? Also, don't forget to check out this video right here, which covers more video game news if you guys are looking for that kind of stuff. And until next time, everyone, thanks for coming by. See you in the next video.